we can get this started. Can you hear me? Okay. Good deal. We'll wait till Dan gets back. Good morning, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. We've got the roll call. Lynn did. I would ask you all to join Nick in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I think we have an addition to our agenda. Jan, do you have something you would like to add on to this?
Well, the newsletter's already on there, number 7.
Retreat?
Oh, the retreat, I apologize, yeah. I'm not sure where you want to put it.
I would say let's put it right under 4.
Under 4?
Uh-huh. Okay, then do I have a motion to approve the agenda and the meeting minutes from February 5th meeting?
So made.
Jan moves. We have a second by Nick. Discussion, none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. All right, moving on. Retreat. We're thinking of a retreat we have planned. Jan has made some phone calls and got some specifics on that.
March there's too much going on in March, and it's too soon to get that together. I did speak to, her name is Barb, over at the Bristol Lodge. They close at 6, but they said we could hold a retreat, and Ivan, and I'm sorry, I think Ivan is one of the owners, but I'm not sure who Ivan is. That's how she refers to him. He said that he would stay until 9 o'clock, so we could have, the retreat wouldn't go until 9 o'clock, but he said he would stay so we could have it there. They're going to let us use the facility if the board so chooses to have this retreat for free. And I've contacted Carmen about doing some food, so because it'll be dinner time. Or there's another option to do it earlier. I just asked about at night because I figured a lot of business owners would not want to close their business early if they had to. So we have the option, but it's up to the board to decide that. But she's going to get us some prices to do a buffet. It's a really nice room. I don't know if any of you have been over there into their area, but it's a really very nice room. It's very nice atmosphere when you go in there, and free is great.
Yeah,
Free is really great.
That's right in our price range.
Yeah. So, and I did ask Carmen to keep the bid for whatever it is that they would come up, for a dinner or a lunch. Mary Jo asked me to keep it under 20. I told her under 15. So I figured we'd start out there. I can always go up instead of coming down, but I thought, well, whatever they can do for us. So, and I'll get back to you on that if the board chooses that we're going to do this.
Okay. Discussion.
Are you proposing a 5 o'clock start or a 6 o'clock start?
5 o'clock if that's what the board chooses. And as I said, he said he would stay there until 9, 4 hours. Mary Jo thought maybe 5 to 8. Because you all might start getting a little droopy after 8 o'clock. But that's totally up to the board. But that's where that's at right now. We have that option.
And maybe not even that long. We'll
Right.
We'll
But
just
he
get our
is-
business taken care of.
Yeah, but he is giving us until 9 o'clock that he would stay there, and like I said, free is great. That's a board, yeah. That's a board decision. That's a board decision. I'm not old, but you're old.
Their chairs are comfortable, Jerry. You'll be able to.
And I think there's a couch.
Okay, more discussion? Okay, well, then, so we just have Jan move forward with this? We need to decide a time, 5 or 6.
A time and a date, because they don't have, they're normally closed after 6, so we can pick whatever date we want. And my reasoning for thinking was April, to give me, give us some time to get this all put together instead of trying to rush something.
In April, we've got Krabby Night. It's a pretty big event that we may not want to interfere with. Krabby Tax Night, yeah.
And we might want to do it after Krabby Tax Night, to give you a better mood to be in.
There you go.
Just a thought,
Well, my thought on all of this, looking at these calendars that fill up so quickly, there are, Tuesday nights are pretty open. Thursday nights are terrible. Wednesday nights are filling up. Would a Tuesday night be good for the board?
Be the
Okay.
third
So if we
Tuesday.
did the third Tuesday, that would be the 23rd.
No, it would be the
Business
16th.
after hours.
Oh, I'm sorry, 16th.
Yeah, I'll be
So the
on that.
third
I'll be on that
Tuesday
night.
Then
is-
there's meetings on the second Tuesday.
So how about the fourth Tuesday?
That's the 23rd, and I'll be out of town.
We'll cancel it,
I can't do
Just
that. There's a birthday involved in that the next
Just
day. And
kidding.
He's going to be 50, so I can't undo that.
Just kidding. Some other suggestions? Works for me. So we'll pick the date by the doodle poll.
Okay.
Time is going to be 5 or 6, which?
Which do you
Five,
guys prefer?
6?
5,
Five is great for me.
6?
Six? It's okay.
Okay.
5:30? Okay.
I like
Half
Ellen's
hour extra.
negotiating skills.
So we'll put it 5:30 to 9, even knowing that we won't go till 9.
Okay.
He's giving us that much time. So.
All right. So the
Okay.
date to be determined in April.
Does this leave open if we're wanting Tuesday, only the first Tuesday? of
Well,
the
we'll
month?
see what the doodle poll does. Yeah, that's fine with me. I can,
Yeah.
but whatever works, so Lynn will find that out. All right.
And we might include Wednesday into that.
Well, we can do the whole week.
Except for Thursday when there's a council meeting.
Right.
Because if
Thursdays
we
are
can be at
always-
the council meeting, my personal opinion is that's important. But we don't want to schedule anything during the council meeting, for a conflict.
Absolutely.
Tanner? Yeah, we do. So we'll get that put together along with it. We'll kind of see how this rolls out and fine tune it as we get closer. So, yeah. You want to know what that is? We're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the rest of the DDA district and how we're going to move forward. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. Woodland Station. CDOT. I think that Neil and I were talking the other day, and we have talked about with developers all the encumbrances on the Woodland Station site. And I believe, and he did too, we need to talk to CDOT, find out exactly where it stands with them today. It's a different group of people. We need to see what are the requirements going to be from them when we develop this, what we need to look at. So we'll have that information to give to prospective developers that come forward. So I think it's better to do that sooner rather than later. Neil has offered to make that contact for us, and we can, along probably with Darren, and Darren is probably the one that's going to do it. But make that contact and move forward. Does that have an approval of the board to do that?
I certainly reflect on that as being one of the, let's say, risk factors or problem points, or however you want to define it, that needs to be addressed in order to be able to present a definite package to somebody. So it's a good move.
Okay, any more conversation on this?
That's a good move.
Okay, I don't think we need a motion. We've got a consensus here. I think we can move on with that. Darren, Neil, if you would do that, probably, whatever they can set up. Including
Not too
Steve
many
I.
doodle polls.
All right, thank you. And then would like to, we have our construction company coming, Kiewit. It's going to do some work on our land for the use of our land to park their equipment on. I would like to ask the board if they are still under the consensus that we stick with our plan from 3 years ago, that at that meeting, everyone in the room was 100% in support in the concept of that plan from 3 years ago. It required very little money. It was how we could use what we have as it is to at least create something downtown. That's in a very key place, and for that to be in such rough condition is not really fair for our downtown. We've all agreed that this property, we have tried for 18 years to force development. Sally was so kind to do a wonderful presentation, a recap from the very beginning of what we have done, what we have lost, what has tanked. And that just shows that we truly have tried to develop that site. Now we're going to have to let the market drive it, because you just can't force it. So I would like to ask the board if they are still under the consensus that we move forward with that 3-year-ago plan that everyone has seen, that Sally presented when she did the workshop for the city. That was the last thing that you had up. That's the plan. It was very simple. It showed what we could do and what we have.
The one that the farmer's market was an agreement that they liked the way that was laid out.
Yeah, and it had a place for a tent. It was big enough to have a place for a tent at the bottom.
Sure.
It was terraced. It had tents. It had parking. It had all these things.
Just checking to make sure I was on the
Yeah,
right page.
on what we have like it is. We still got 2 permits open on that site that we need to get finished this summer. So,
I'm confused.
yes.
Not everyone was probably at that presentation or knows what that is all about. Can someone give us a synopsis? Or
Tanner, it's,
It'd be nice if that 3-year plan was with our packet, so we could refer to that. I would hope that the board, if you're asking for some direction.
Are you
it has
referring
been, I'm referring to the one that we have presented several times.
here?
Okay, the Woodland Station Land Improvement Use and Management Plan was approved by the board in 2016 and is on the website. That plan?
That's the one. No changes, just that plan, the way it is. Then Kiewit has at least got that to go by if we don't come up with anything else. So we've already approved it. I just want a consensus that we can move on with that.
Sounds good to me.
Yes? Yes?
It is.
Yes? Okay, so that's what we're going to give to Kiewit, and we're going to move forward with that until something else happens. Okay? All right. And then behind that, I want to put a for sale sign. We are still marketing the property, even though we're going to try to use it a little bit and move forward. And I would like to have the board have some discussion on paying for a really nice for sale by owner sale sign to put up on the property at this time. We still have 2 permits that are open. We still have a lot of things that have to happen to that before it's really ready to list with anybody.
And we need to come up with what we need, a price for that. So we need to have
That's gonna come up
in the retreat, yes.
That's gonna be part of what we talked about, Jerry. That's what we're going to talk about at the retreat. But this we could do right away.
I absolutely agree with Jerry. For sale by owner,
So just
Doesn't
get
work.
the sign, don't put a sign up.
I think it needs to be listed with a regional broker, national broker. Whether it's ready or not, it can still be prepared. You never know when the right buyer is going to come along. And it's 99% chance that it's not going to be someone that sees a for sale by owner sign on the property. Just my suggestion as a real estate person, even in residential property, for sale by owner is a very challenging option, and most people end up listing with a broker anyway. So if it's not going to sell unless it's on the markets and on a multiple listing service.
Any more comment? Tanner?
I know you said we discussed it at the retreat, but at this point, if we're even talking about listing, it seems we should talk about the purpose for the property, because right now, we're under an agreement with the city of Wichita to cause the development of the property, and that the conveyance of the property will be for no cash. So if we list it with any sort of purchase price, clearly we're deviating from the intent of that agreement.
And
Board
part
all
of
right
that,
with that? The city all right with that?
that,
Wondering, so, how do you get a broker to take it? If there's no sale price, there's no commission. Just have to agree to a price. But I think that's some stuff we need to iron out that retreat.
and that's why we're setting up with CDOT to find out what we're behind there. There's so much information we need to gather up. And my thought with the sales sign is that it is presenting our intent to market the property,
Absolutely.
but it's not really ready to list yet till we find out where we are today on that property. We need to check into the fencing. There's different, I know that part of that was put to rest, but Kelly Redarmo has some papers that say otherwise, so we need to check that out further. There's some things that we need to do, I think, before we list it further.
Mary Jo and Tanner, and maybe I've missed it, but did not the second amendment to the disposition and development agreement be approved by the city council?
It was not.
Or
Not
was
yet,
it?
it hasn't, no.
No, we're waiting for their new attorney to come on board, because our attorney.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of
Well,
turn.
thank you for, yeah, because I kind of lost track of that.
And it's just fair to let their attorney take a look at it and comment back on it also.
Okay, so we need to make sure this gets started first.
Our attorney is here today.
Yeah.
Jason Myers is in the back row.
Oh, right.
He began yesterday. And
Yesterday.
He's, welcome, Jason.
Oh, okay.
He will review that agreement, and then we'll come forward to the city
And we
council.
can put a high degree of priority on that.
I believe that is a high degree of priority for him.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Any more comments?
So
on
that
this?
would then neutralize the concerns that perhaps you had, Tanner, once that gets approved. Okay. Good.
When we say that we can't sell it for money, there's more to it than that. It's not that someone comes up and says, I want that property, and you just say, here, there's the two.
Right now, the way it's structured, we are to convey that to developers who are ready, willing, and able to develop it in accordance with the concept plan that was approved in 2006.
Yeah.
It would go public and private streets. No, right. We can't sell it to speculative buyers. We have to convey it for development. And if that doesn't happen, then we're to retain the ownership of it. And if we can't cause the development of it by a deadline, then that puts us in default and gives the city a right to re-enter. And that's the contract that we goes through.
Jerry?
No, he was mayor.
He was mayor.
mayor.
Signed the contract that put the DDA in the position.
And the council's the one that did that on the contract. Okay, we're going backwards here. Are we in good faith going
Yes,
to?
the DDA signed it as well. So,
I think the question was specifically for the city. That's why. For the city.
Okay. Question being, do we want to consider putting up a for sale by owner sign in good faith that we are trying to market the property? Or do we want to just save our money and just keep moving forward on gathering information, and at the point where it's ready, we will list it, and then at that point we will let the market drive the development of this property?
I think that the way the contract stands right now, I think that's what we have to do.
So,
no for sale sign.
no for sale sign. Okay. So, in good faith, we've made the offer, we have decided against that, and just keep moving forward. And at the point,
Let the lawyers.
okay, all right. Does everybody?
Yeah, but I think, that with all the discussion and everything that we've had, I think it's pretty well known that that property could be for sale and how it could be for sale. So, not everybody in the whole country knows that, but we need to give ourselves a little time. So I think that's a good decision.
And I'd like to remind everyone that the reason this hasn't happened until now is because our hands were tied for the last 5 years. Now we're ready to move forward. So in good faith, we're still trying to market and develop that property. In the meantime, if we can do some things on it to at least fill that space, use it for excess parking, whatever we decide to do with it, we're doing something with it at a very minimal cost till it develops. Do we all agree on that? Okay. So, no sign. Look at there, we've made money already today. Okay, and then we'll go back up to the Cog Railway car. And I don't know if everyone knows about this. Am I free to speak about this? I would like to ask Neil to participate, because we need to approve by the board if it goes there, correct? Okay. All right. Let me show you. I have a picture here that was in the paper. This is the car here. This one in this corner. And I'm going to hand it around in case y'all haven't seen it. I would love that, and I would like to say that Paul Saunier has been the force that really has zeroed in on it. Neil went down. Please,
I think.
fill everybody in.
Okay, quickly, so everyone knows that the Cog Railway is being remodeled and they're redeveloping a $100 million project. They had 6 old cars, and they decided, the Cog Railway decided they're gonna give 3 of them to Manitou Springs. So Manitou doesn't own them, the Cog Railway owns them, so they're gonna get 3 of the cars. They're being wrapped and they're gonna be moved in the next, I don't know, soon. But I just talked to Ken Geray, who's the mayor of Woodland Park, of Manitou Springs, and he said they're not ready to make any decision on if they want 1, 2, or 3 of those cars at this point. They've got some other issues with city managers and other things, and so it's not even kind of on their agenda, which I thought it was for today's meeting, and he just called me. Cost associated is going to be about $20,000. What he asked me for, and the trains, Paul and I went over and looked at it. The trains are in phenomenal condition, beautiful, and we both agreed, I think you all would too, that it would be a great asset for our community. What he said today, what made sense to me is, and I'll send you some pictures, or Paul will, to somebody on DDA, maybe Lynn, who can kind of Photoshop in where you all think might be a great place for it, so when the time comes, we can have that for the Manitou City Council, and they can look at it and get an idea of what our approach is going to be and how we're going to move forward.
So that $20,000, if I've heard this, I just want to make sure that I heard it correctly, that includes some track to set it on, and that includes the delivery?
Those are 2 good questions. The track to set it on, for sure, and Paul asked a great question when we were there about other things like benches and some things that are around there. In their historical society, I think we were told, right, Paul, want some of that stuff, but there might be some other things available. So we're going to try to get what we can. The cost associated, we're not as sure of yet. At first, they talked about a $10,000 cost for the train and $10,000 to move it. Well, they're going to move it already because they had to get it out of there for the construction purposes. So it's going to be a G.E. Johnson's property in the Springs, and and so I can't answer your question in terms of how much at this point. But the track, yes, and so if we could have some kind of picture, where you want to put it, next to Birchland Park, wherever, let's take a look at that, and I can get that to the, to City Council in Manitou, and they can take a look at it.
If it's on city property, will it be covered by city insurance? Like for kids climbing on it and stuff?
Yeah, great question. We haven't looked into anything like that yet.
That's a great price.
It is.
Well, it could be. Guess how much. Just guess how much.
I know, because there was a caboose that was for sale up in Pine Junction, and when I had Curves and Vintage Finds, my husband thought that would be a great idea to buy that, put that over in the parking lot by Bergstrom to have ice cream, and I don't know what time he thought I was going to be able to do that, but that is a great price, because the bulk of the price is in the movie.
Probably half of it. I don't know. New cars that hold about 210 people. This one holds 74. Yeah. The one we're getting, and they're immaculate. Most of you have probably been on that train before. $10 million. They're spending $60 million for 6 new cars. That's $60 million of the $100 million that they're spending to renovate that project. And so I agree with you. The price is right, and I think it'd be beneficial. I'm sure everyone agrees. For the south side of our street, and people stop. Asset for us. So working on it, and our hands are kind of tied with the council. The mayor was the one that reached out to me, so it would be interesting because he thought that would be a great value to us, but it's getting a little pushback from the city. So we've got other bigger issues right now, and as soon as we know something,
Okay. Thank you, Neil. Well, the reason it's...
Oh, sure.
If I can get it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That one's on too, Darren.
If I can really quick, I'd like to move to the question.
You got to put it right up by your mouth.
There's another one in the holder.
Well, Sally and I have discussed, we're talking about putting it on Bergstrom Park. It takes a lot of preparation to put it on Bergstrom Park. The original discussion that we had would be to place it on DDA proper, on the Woodland Station property, just south of the sidewalk is where we had discussed it. So anything on Bergstrom would have to take some significant planning and preparation. So I don't see that being the first course of action. With that being said, that's on DDA property, so city liability insurance would not cover that. So just keep that in mind during your discussions.
Why would the city insurance not cover that if, I thought we were covered under the city's policy?
We do not.
So question would be, Suzanne and Darren, is the DDA does not carry any insurance of its own. It's always been covered through city liability as a component unit of the city. So we should probably answer that question, whether that land is covered, because if not, then we're exposed.
Yeah.
And
That's a
that
good question.
needs to be addressed. So
Suzanne is our representative to CIRSA, who's our liability pool insurance, and so as my understanding is that we do not currently have insurance on that property. And you could please correct me if I'm wrong, Suzanne.
Because I know that DDA is covered as far as all the board members are covered for if you would get hurt, as like workers' comp, that kind of thing. You're covered for that. But I don't know as far as the car on the property, and I can research that and get that answer for you.
I think we need to know overall
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
about the DDA's coverage for everything.
we assumed that we were covered. So we've always thought all these years that we were covered on the land as well as DDA. So we do need to find that out right away and make sure that that happens.
When I go through the audit of all the city properties, when I walk with CIRSA on everything that the city owns, we never walk or do an audit on Woodland Station. So.
And we did not know that.
So we'll check into it for you, and we'll
Please
report it at the
do.
next meeting,
Sooner rather than later.
or even sooner. Yes, correct.
9-year-long oversight.
Again.
Since 2001,
Again.
since the DDA's
Oh,
been
geez.
in.
Was
Okay.
transferred via deed in 09, right, to DDA. So before that, it would have been under the city's ownership.
But are we covered for other things as well, like general
We'll
liability?
find out.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you, Susan.
Okay. I guess back to the cog railway. I would like to ask the board, not knowing what the future is going to bring, but should it bring it our way, does the board agree that we would definitely be willing to put that on Woodland Station property, but working through the details of how that would happen before we actually did it? I mean, well, I don't know that either. That has to be determined as well. Yes.
Okay, so my question is, Darren said putting it on the DDA property just south of the sidewalk, and I think that's a great idea. However, what if the property sells? Then what happens to that train?
Well,
It would be
that's a
negotiated
good
parts of the
question,
contract
and that
excluded
would be part
from the
of.
sale.
If it's
Go ahead.
excluded, what do we do?
Go ahead. Who has the
Excuse me.
floor?
Excuse me.
Kelly has the floor.
I was just going to say that that would be part of the negotiation in the contract for sale. It can be an exclusion, specific exclusion from sale. And it would have to be moved, of course. But it can be negotiated as part of the contract to sell.
Jan.
Then my thought is, Darren. Oh, there he is. I think your idea of putting it just south, putting it on DDA property, my personal opinion is that's a great place for it. My question is, if the property were to sell, the train is on, the car is on DDA property, and as Kelly said, it can be excluded from the sale, where would we put it? It would have to be moved from there. We'd have to have a plan B.
Well, that gives us some time, gives us a little bit of time and space to do some planning for potentially on Bergstrom, but we need to do some analysis on that. That probably, Sally and I have different opinions, but we'll talk about it and try to figure out where that might be. But gives us some time to plan for it while it's on that property.
Okay, so do we have the measurement of how long that is? You can pick a place to put it, but
It's 52.
It's pretty darn long.
It's 52.
It's a long
It
car, but it'll fit, I believe it will fit there, right there, just south of that alley.
It's 52 feet long, Neil.
just a thought that, you know.
And that's just a thought.
Sure.
But everybody agrees that that visibility on the south side is first priority.
Like, when you lay out the parcel for sale,
Yes?
when you lay out the parcel for sale, let's say you take that strips out from the sidewalk. When you negotiate with a buyer, you could truck that out, almost like an easement, survey it out, and attach it to Berkshire Park. There's lots of options as you move down the path. It's not necessarily stuck to the rectangle that you have.
I just wanted to have a possibility of a thought that there needs to be a plan B for that, and that.
I think that will happen when we find out if we're even going to get it. Then I think with that in mind, we'll sit down and have these more detailed conversations. What I'm asking the board today is a consensus, or whether we need a vote, that our property would be available for that railroad car should we get it. Al?
Okay, thank you. What is going to be the purpose of that item being there? Is it just an ornament? If it's an ornament, that particular Swiss-made railroad car is of a Bavarian, Swiss type connotation. Does this mean that we are moving away from the Mountain Western rather than having an old steam locomotive that's more consistent with our history here? If we're heading towards a Bavarian Swiss type theme for that area, does that mean that the cowhand is now going to go away and you're going to be selling lederhosens and Trillian caps? And the ute goes away in favor of Swiss cheese fondue and chocolate fondue? As we change the concept? I don't know. To me, it's not consistent with a Mountain Western. Now, is it a delightful piece of equipment? Yes. But I don't know it belongs here.
Okay.
I have
good
that
point.
question.
Good point. Paul and then Jerry. Paul? Yes, please. Thank you.
It's a piece of history. We are the backyard to Pikes Peak Mountain. I understand that some people in this room agree that it does not fit the Western logging, mining, potatoes, whatever you wish to say, beef, timber. This is a purchase of a 52-foot, 9.5 feet wide with track, 6 gauge, which the original Great Northern track was laid on. We will get the center clog for the historical value. I do not want Neil Levy to sell the Swiss Chalet. Sorry, Al. This can be part of what the economic development cited, a railroad museum. It's very difficult to run across original cars, as you were quoting, although it would be very nice. I know where about 5 of them are laying, but they're very expensive. I would pursue those for the DDA if you wish. This was just a quick opportunity that came up, and it would be foolish to travel down the road of these nonsensical arguments without first knowing if we can't get it. And it's easy to move, and great suggestions have been brought up about even cutting a piece of land away in a sale. If not, that car is very valuable for a resale. It would look nice anywhere. And I think you should take advantage of the opportunity, should it arise, and move forward together to your retreat in a sensible way and talk this over. I think it would be a very wonderful addition to draw people into that area. And thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Jerry?
All right. Wholeheartedly. Well, we're talking about purchasing it. Who would purchase it? Would it be the
That would
DDA?
be something we would negotiate. We need to find out what they really want for it.
Yeah.
And then we need to figure out where it's going to sit. And, you know, that would all be to be determined.
Okay.
The details are to be determined. First, we need to see if we're going to get it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Am I correct, Darren? Am I correct in saying that? All of it, all the details will be worked out. When we find out we've got it, then we'll sit down and work out all the details.
Well,
Once we get the price and, yes.
Mary
Yeah,
Jo,
so go ahead.
I would just like to get my 2 cents in. I think it would be awesome if we got it. That is a more than fair price if we got it. And I think the DDA should pay for it because that's kind of what we're here for.
Okay.
And so anyway, I'm totally on board with that. Just want my 2 cents in.
Okay.
Did you say the city
We-
should pay for it?
We appreciate that. Okay, no, did you have something you wanted to say? Exactly, so we're ready. All right, any more from the board? Okay, do I get a consensus then that the property would be available for more discussion should they get it?
And research.
And I'm going to say no because I'm going to adhere to the mountain western theme, not
Okay.
the alpine Bavarian theme.
Okay, and you got that. This isn't a vote, this is a consensus. And then we'll move forward and when we have more facts, then we'll have a vote. Okay. The last thing on Woodland Station is what we have over there right now is just a gravel pit, kind of. It's just sitting there. So what can you do on a gravel pit? Well, you can buck bulls on a gravel pit. And because I met with our stock contractor for our rodeo, which is going to be the last weekend of June, I asked him if he would have dates available and events. A lot of the mountain towns are having Friday night rodeos, and they're very successful in the summertime. And I asked him what he would charge to do Friday night rodeos. The only times he had was in June and July, and we could do 6 of them, and they would be Friday nights. He'd bring everything up. He has buck and shoots, and we can find an arena. It's kind of one of those things, you know, we can set it up, we can do our thing, and at the end of it, 2 trucks roll in, and by nightfall, it's like it was never there. And it's something that we could maybe do for a couple months this summer to really generate some traffic and income. We're known for rodeo. We know it works here. The reason people go to rodeos anymore is to watch the bull riding anyway. So this should be something that we could do relatively easy for 2 months just to bring some new dollars, some activity, some action to downtown.
What about advertising?
It would be something that we would advertise just like you would any other major event.
And the cost?
The cost for him to come up with the buck and stock at each buck is $1,500, and then an added $500 for prize money for the cowboys that come in. So the prize money for those cowboys would be their entry fees and the $500 added.
And that would be each
So
show.
that would be each time. So it'd be $2,000 to put these on each time. And that's why it's important that we would have a gate receipt, concessions, things like that. And those are things that we could share in some of the other organizations in town to do it, and then we share the profits off of concessions or gates, that kind of thing. Yes.
Would the DDA be funding any portion of this?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we need to, I would say on something like this, if we could pledge $5,000 to the project so that we've got a little bit of working capital and figure out how we can get sponsors for this, because, if you've got 6 bull rides for the summer, that's a lot of exposure, and there will be sponsors that would want to have their name advertised on. So I think through sponsorship, through gate receipts, through concessions, that's how we paid for them before, and we managed to make money. If you do it right, you can make money on them.
Is there an entity in place that would organize this?
Well, only because it's rodeo, probably the rodeo club would, just because they're doing the rodeo down there. It's the same stock contractor. It's the same,
Liability insurance?
Well,
Do the bull riders have their own insurance?
Yeah, all that's covered on their end. And if we decided to do that, we would put that on the same policy as our rodeo insurance is on it. And it's not that much. Like last year's for 3-day rodeo was $400 and some because we've got a good insurance company that covers rough stock and rodeo. So I think that if this board thinks that might be something that we could do, and we prove it, then we'll put together the package of cost and how we would make this pay. But before we move further, I needed to see what your reaction would be to 2 months of rodeo right down there in that bottom. Now, in the meantime, between those Fridays, we can do other things too. Jeff Matthews, who is a chiropractor, he wants to do a couple of clinics down there if this is approved. And I think there will be other people that would use that. The size would be about a 40 by 60 is what a bucking arena measures. And that's the back pins and the arena itself. So that would fit down in that. A full-size arena won't fit, but that would. And like I said, that would just haul in on trucks and haul out on trucks. It's all portable.
What about bleachers or something for people to sit?
Well, we'd have to, same as what we do now, we'd have to borrow bleachers and move them around, that kind of thing. It helps a little bit because the property's terraced, so, that'll help.
We've had conversations about wanting to establish a grass cover down there. This would probably negate that. Are we still consistent with that?
Well, right in the bottom it would, because you have to turn that dirt up. It can't be hard. So right in the bottom it would. We could go ahead and plant grass.
Certainly the hard ground would be another inducement to stay on that bull's back. Clear through. The flight would be okay, but the landing would be a little rough. Yeah. But the fact that you're running around large numbers of people around the arena, so that whole area is going to be trampled and would not be conducive to grass formation. which is okay if that's something that we don't want to do.
No, we wouldn't. But then
Yeah.
we're kind of grading and doing all that stuff
Yeah.
this year anyway. And probably our planting will be, our landscaping, a little bit further down the road because we're just not there yet.
You probably get some free fertilizer too.
Oh, lots of that.
I'm thinking so.
Yeah.
Tanner?
Well, I thought just on the note of grass, I thought I'd go ahead and get a couple bags of seed from, I guess we got a large
Uh-huh.
county extension.
Soil
Yeah,
conservation.
soil
yeah.
conservation.
Yeah, get that spread sooner than later, just so that we can, hopefully it can take root sooner than later and stabilize the surface. We get those permits closed out. If the grass gets trampled to death by crowds of people, I'd say,
Yay for us.
yeah,
Yeah.
We'll plant again. So I don't know. What do you think? This is just this year, just to try it out, see what it does. It's the only thing I can come up with that we can do that might make us more money for what we put into it than anything else I can think of with less.
Are
Yes.
we at the point that we're just suggesting let's see more of the plan, or are we at the point that we are pledging some money?
Well, I don't know. It's important that we make a decision because he's got to hold these dates. If something else comes up, we'll lose the dates. So, we have to do it right away. But if we could, and then when you pledge it, if we don't need it, we don't use it. But it's there if we do need it. Yes,
So is the cost $2,000 per event
per Friday.
per Friday?
Yeah.
And then we can do anything around that we want. I mean, it'll be a Friday evening if we want to have a barbecue, if we want to have a street dance, if we want to have, anything that the community wants to do around that, that is the draw. And then we create maybe two or 3 day activity around it.
I'm all for trying it.
Yeah, personally, I think we can sponsor that privately. I don't think we need DDA funds to pull that off. At least one or two of them just to get it started. And try and do that.
Well, I think we should, but I'd like to have a little backup to know that we've got somebody that, if we get in a pinch, we can get it right now, and then we'll get sponsorships. We'll have gate receipts. We'll have that. But sometimes, you need a little money up front.
This would have to be during daylight hours, though, wouldn't it? So
It's the evening.
early,
It would start about
before sundown. Yeah.
6:30.
Yeah.
Well, and see, it doesn't get dark till 9
Right.
in the summer, so
Yeah. We
it
got
would
that
be
advantage.
an evening thing. And then we can go right into something after dark if we want to have a band or whatever. There's a million things we could do.
We've got a good planner over there. He's not looking up, so.
Okay.
You.
Well,
You're good at
anyway,
that stuff.
we need to, we're only at 30, we're doing pretty good here. What do you think? You want to, what I would say to lock these dates in with him is to say, if y'all agree that it's worth a try for 2 months out of 1 year, before we've done much of anything else, I can lock the dates in, and if we could just agree that,
How much money does he want up front?
nothing.
Nothing.
He knows us. He knows we're good for our word. So, it's still, the cowboy way was good. Handshake still works. So nothing up front. We just pay him after when he loads up and leaves.
How does the chamber fit into helping to coordinate and promote?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Hopefully they will.
Yeah. 'Cause it is-
And hopefully every other entity.
Yeah.
Hopefully Main Street will get on this. Hopefully our town will get on this and say, hey, here's 2 months. See what we can do. Let's generate. Let's generate around it, and let's make it part of something else. And let's
There's a lot that we can do in town
exactly.
to get, get excitement
yeah, I mean, we all can, you
Sure,
know.
sure.
And it's always good if we've got 2 months of that, you know, the day before, everybody dresses Western and stuff, promote it, get people to come. You know, the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo still does awesome. Murph?
Myself, I would be okay with possibly doing that on DDA property. And just as a matter of course, that the DDA would possibly help with the insurance on that. But as far as funding it, really not. I would say if we can't get 20 businesses in the area to come up with $100 a piece, okay, for 5 events, or 6 events, okay, 6 events, whatever. I mean, I'd be willing myself to come up, to put out $200 as a sponsor, but as far as sponsor, you know, to sponsor the rough stock, whatever. But I'm really not okay with using taxpayer.
Okay, I understand. That's fine. It's always good to have a little seed money so that you can get your advertising done and you can get all that before you get actually an income coming. So,
Mary
anyway,
Jo?
go ahead.
I'm not speaking for Main Street, I'm just telling you that we are a member of the Colorado Springs Visitor Bureau, and we have access to put activities that are going on up here, which is included in our membership, and that can be promoted, and that goes out to I don't know how many thousands of people, you know, that can click on that, and we have some pretty good results with the clicking on that. So that
Well, I
would be
think
something we
it's-
could put on that, and that would not cost us anything.
I think this is early enough in the season that if we get an okay to do this, I think that we could, you know, put a plan together and get it advertised properly and soon enough
And I
that we
think we
can
could
get
not
it
only
on
get businesses
tourists,
to help
because
sponsor this.
tourists are the ones that
Yeah.
are really going to support this.
Private people, I would be willing to.
Kelly?
So just to expand on what Murph said, maybe an idea would be if the rodeo group were to put the event on, and maybe the DDA could be a sponsor with providing the location and maybe making some sort of contribution as a sponsor of the event. That might be an angle that might facilitate both and what Murph is talking about, just as a thought, as an option.
Well, and the thought of
making it
that for the
happen.
rodeo group to put it on, I mean, we're struggling to put our rodeo on.
Yeah.
So, you know, like work-wise, we could probably, we can do that, but money-wise, you know,
And maybe the DDA could be the legs of putting it together, but the rodeo, it all runs through the rodeo.
Yeah.
As far as revenue and expenses and things like that. The DDA could be a contributor or a sponsor, and maybe even get involved in making the event happen on their property. Just getting creative to
Well,
how that might
that
work
would be good.
in light
I
of
mean,
what Murph
support
said.
would be, because, you know, we don't have an arena. $55,000 to buy a new bucking arena. That shoots and everything, which we don't have. Our stock contractor has some extra bucking chutes. They're right-hand bucking chutes that they don't use. And they have some bucking chutes. I think we can find enough panels to make, heavy-duty panels to make the arena, because these are bulls. You don't just put up llama panels.
Hey, watch that.
I know. So we'll have to get that done, and then we'll have to probably put a barrier fence in between that, just in case, for safety purposes, in case one of them jump over the fence.
Are those things not included in the $2,000?
No, no. We're going to have to come up with an arena on top of that. It's just $2,000 to put on the buck. Go ahead.
I think what she's just wanting to do is lock the dates in. We can always cancel the dates at no cost, correct? We lock the dates.
Yeah,
in.
we can. I mean, if he,
That's
you
really
know,
all
I mean,
we're
it's
at right
only
now, is
fair to
lock
him.
the dates in. So if we choose to do that, and if it is, successful to keep doing that, we already have the dates locked in. But if it isn't, we can cancel it.
Well, the rodeo club would do it, and we would go out and help find sponsors for it. But, you know, we can't, like, we've got our own rodeo to put on, which is more than that. You know, that's $7,000 for just the stock on that. You know, and that's why I said this is an addition too. But I know, I mean, you know, Beaver Creek, Aspen, Steamboat, all of them do that in the summertime. They all have Friday night. And this isn't a rodeo, this is just bulls. Murph?
I think we need look at this, possibly getting Main Street and DDA rep together and look at going out into July, because that gives us 5 months. That would give us about 5 months to get it together, and not more than 4.
Well,
Because I know who's going to be busting their asses making concessions happen, and all that money goes back to them, is going to go back to the community and help the rodeo. But yeah, I think we need to be pretty conservative on our first rounds. We do have a hell of an audience right down the hill that would possibly come up here for those things on Friday night. But there again, this is a shot. So I think we need to sit down and come up with a plan.
well, our Friday night bull rides do the same as our Saturday gates on our rodeo. So I know they come to that. That's what they really want. But, and that's okay. That's okay. If we don't, we don't. But, you know, to put an arena up for 1 or 2, it's not worth it. I mean, you know, if we can't do enough to make some money at it.
Are so right now, what you just really want to do is be able to tell him that,
To commit to the dates, so we can start putting an arena
and if we
together.
decide 6 is too many and we want to lower that, we can always cancel the dates at no cost to us, but at least we have them if we so choose to use them.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
you know, like
correct?
I said, it's a lot of work to put an arena up. It's
Sure.
not, I mean, it's not rocket science, but you know, it takes pretty
And
good
you
deal. And
have-
for one, it's, you know,
And you have the cost of those bullpens, too. Didn't you say you had to buy, not llama pens, but
no, we can find some. I mean,
can find some.
you
So
know,
you
there's
don't
that
have that
stuff all over. We're just gonna have to round it up. You know, but that's what a new one costs, but we'd have to round it up and put it together, so that in itself would be a job. Brooke? No. No.
Yes.
No. And one
That's
of
right.
those is the Friday night bull ride at our rodeo. So that's one we won't have to pay for, because the rodeo's already paying for that one.
If there's no cost to us to cancel the dates, and all we're doing is holding that's all we're deciding as to whether or not to commit to the dates. But if we decide we don't want to have that many, we can cancel it, and there's no cost to us. I don't see any reason why we can't just do that, so that we have the dates if we so choose to use them. That's all we're doing.
I think they want a money pledge, too.
No, she said no.
Okay.
No, and we can, let's say we pick 6 dates, and we're only gonna use 3 or 4 of them, and we cancel the others. There's no ramifications that come back on us.
Well, no, I mean, you know, there's some integrity there.
Well,
I
of
mean,
course
you know,
there is.
you don't just do it because I'm tired. I don't want to do it. You know, you committed to that man. He's saved those dates for us. He'd have a rodeo somewhere else if it wasn't for us. So he's trying to make a living too, but within reason. If it's a failure, he doesn't want to come either. So. Okay, I guess we can talk about it forever. I guess I'm asking, first of all, for 1 year, for June and July, do we agree we could use it for that? If we could put it together?
June's too early.
Well, he can't do it in August, and we can only get 3 dates in July. Then it'd be the last of June. I think it's the last of June.
If it could be put together as that, I have no problem seeing where you.
Okay. Well, the last 3 rodeos we've had, we've done in 45 days because of the roadblock of the Saddle Club. They made it as difficult as they could, and our rodeo ended up being in about 45 days we put that together. So. And they were a success. Mhm. The only one we almost made money on all of them, not a lot, but we paid for it, made a little bit, except the one where they made us drive to California to get the rest of the arena because they wouldn't let us take panels down, use them, and put them back. So we had to drive to California to get an arena, to finish the arena we had, to have a rodeo.
I love the idea of the rodeo being downtown Mark. I think it has value. I'd love to see what happens. I will not drive to California. Pick anything up, but I
We're not doing it again, I tell you that.
count Eads in as a sponsor. It'll help, pay for the cost of $2,000 or whatever.
All right, we got to move on here. So we're okay to do that. We need a vote on this. Yes, a vote?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Okay, Jan makes a motion that we secure the 6 dates. One of them's already the rodeo. So June and July. July will be over, and we can move on. Seconded by Nick. A show of hands. All those in favor? Okay, it looks unanimous. Well,
I'm not voting.
Kelly is not voting. Okay. Now, we'll figure out the concessions. This is going to be a little different than our rodeo. So we'll figure that out. But the rodeo club will take lead on that so we can reserve those dates. And then we'll put the particulars together. Sally?
Just a quick reminder that a temporary use permit for the event needs to be submitted 45 days ahead of the event.
Okay.
So, and all the details for that application needs to be worked through.
And I have our rodeos here. I thought Marty'd already given you this for the rodeo.
Nope.
But here it is for you today. We'll do the same for those 4 dates. We'll get more details, and maybe we can talk more about this at our retreat. Sure. And we do have a good insurance company that can handle this. It's affordable. All right, moving on. DDA district conversation. We have focused so many years on Woodland Station as our prime. It isn't. Our whole district needs to be addressed, and I really want to talk about this at our retreat. And I would like to see some information brought into that retreat about this district from this board. Who needs help? Talk to people. Are there folks out there that would like to expand or revitalize their business? Any of that. Anything. I know that Old Gorman Auction, they're still working on that piece of property, trying to get a development worked out on that. There's still the people that came to us and talked to us about a climbing wall, sports center, that kind of thing,
okay.
are still working.
I wasn't sure.
I did find out about that. So there are things out there, whatever information you can come up from our whole district, not just Woodland Station, but our whole district. Let's address that and see how we can start pumping some energy into our whole downtown district, our whole DDA district, and see if we can put some life back in it. We are in a recession, guys.
She has several that are interested. She's actually obtained her real estate license this week. She lives in Cumberland. So she's moving into real estate.
Already asked me if I wanted to do that again. And that was a reason I didn't.
Okay, so anyway,
I was just gonna say I'll get,
Main Street.
Main Street and a listing of businesses, Main Street, and also what buildings are not utilized.
Good.
It seems like for every one opening, there's one closing, so we need to reverse that.
Okay.
I said it was a rumor. I
Okay.
don't know if that's true.
Okay, then think of that for the retreat. We really need to focus on our whole district and not just on Woodland State. Okay? We're all good for that? Newsletter. Jan and Ellen are going
Jan's
to...
taking the lead.
Thank you. You have agreed to.
I have agreed to help, yes.
We're going to redo the newsletter. Lynn is, like, her plate, the edges are bending, so I said I would step up and take the lead on that, but anybody else that wants to step up and do it, please feel free. We have the same thing that we're putting in the Mountain Jackpot.
We're still... Who do we need to talk to make sure we're still good with our newsletter, the jackpot? Okay, John or Rick? Okay,
I might see them today.
okay.
We were paying $25 for each submission. They did offer to do it for,
Yeah, they did.
they offered to do it for free, but if we pay the $25 to do that, then it goes in the way we want it to go in, it's not changed around.
Well, actually, okay. No. So, moving past that, I don't know if they'll do that for that
Well,
much
we'll
anymore, so
find that
we'll
out.
find out.
That's agreeable, so I'm gonna resurrect that. I did send out an email to everybody on the board. If you could get me a small bio, I've already got Tanner's. Al is doing one for me for the next one. And then I've got a schedule. Did you all get that email? Okay, so if you could just a small paragraph, so we can keep the community apprised of what we're doing and who we are. Anything else, if anybody has any suggestions about something to put in there. Ellen?
I will. I know Mary Jo has had an article about her. I've had my little bio printed as well.
I would really like this newsletter to focus on what we have done, on the positive things that we have done.
And that's where it's gonna go.
We have been zeroed in on what we haven't done, but what we have done, I think, has fallen through the cracks.
Well, we're gonna change.
We are still considered one of the best DDAs in the nation as far as our actions. We've had no defaults, we've had good contracts, we've had good, now, we do have a black eye in one sense, but the rest of it has been very successful, so we need to.
And we'd be glad to take positive suggestions from the audience. I see there'd be a lot of people who have positive ones for us. So, thank you.
Because that's where we wanna go moving forward is.
And
keep
we
things
really need to
positive.
focus on the whole district.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, anyway, that's a work in progress right now, and that's all I have right now.
we all on board? Consensus, please. Newsletter's up and going. All glad? We're on a roll. General discussion. Audience, does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Okay. I guess that's it then. General, board members, do you have anything you'd like to share for general discussion?
Additional, thank you.
Okay. Sally?
Just two quick things. A couple of weeks ago, I shared with Main Street and the DDA the draft report for placemaking. Our consultants are still working on the final report, but we had a fairly good group here, about 12 or 15 people, and Tanner were part of that, and Jan was on the phone, and Jerry was there. So the placemaking primary tasks, action items that are being discussed are three different themes. First theme is improving walkability. So that's improvements to the sidewalks and the pedestrian ramps and the cleanliness of the environment for pedestrians and safety as well. The second theme is upgrades to building facades and general appearance so that we have excellent curb appeal, especially from the parking lot sides into your front doors or your back doors. And then third is signage. So as far as getting consistent and uniform signs, public signs, and then also perhaps helping with some private signage as well. So that's coming together nicely. The Main Street architect, Larry Lucas, is working on a few different renderings so to show how the existing buildings could be upgraded. And if you recall, back in 2009, downtown had a fabulous Main Street makeover, and that was incentivized with small grants from the DDA and excellent loan interest rates. So Main Street is working very hard to pull businesses together, and we'll be sharing the final report for placemaking as soon as it is done by the end of this month.
Great.
So it's a great project. It's got everybody on board. It's going to be a roadmap for downtown economic vitalization. Second thing I wanted to share was yesterday we had from the state, History Colorado, Joe Sandoval, who was here talking about the opportunity for tax credits if you are to upgrade a historic building. Now, this is an option for Woodland Park because we are a certified local government, but your building must be landmarked in order to qualify for a 25% tax credit for the improvements that you're doing. It's a minimum of $20,000 of improvements to upgrade your building, and then you can get a reimbursement of up to $5,000 for that.
Good.
That is the state tax credit.
Good.
So Ellen was there, and our preservation committee and the Main Street group. Main Street is required to have a CLG training, so that fulfilled their training as well.
Good. Well, then this would be something that we could also say to the businesses in our DDA district if they're thinking about improvements and such. This is also available if they have an older building.
And it must be designated as a historical landmark, a local historical landmark. So right now, there are only 6 buildings within Woodland Park, private buildings, that are landmarked. And, that includes the Cowhand, which was recently landmarked, the Dana's Dance, the old post office, the preschool in the Pines, which is the El Dorado Casino. The first building that was landmarked is now UC Health, the old Brazen Head. Gary Lichtenberg's cabin, which is over on West Street, is landmarked, as well as the Maytag House. So those are the 6 buildings that could qualify if they're planning to do rehabilitation projects.
Okay. Thank you. Vicki?
There's one thing I wanted to remind everybody is we're sitting on a gold mine. We have 1 million people 20 minutes away. We have to start thinking we're winners. I don't know if people need to look in the mirror. What kind of stumbling blocks are we putting up to stop us from becoming winners? I mean, 1 million people 20 minutes away. We should have every single building filled. What are we doing? Are we running around in circles trying to make the decisions? I saw that a little bit today. Looking at a gift horse in the mouth, running around in a circle. We're winners here. You have 1 million people 20 minutes away. That's all. 20 minutes away. 1 million. Every one of those people came up here and spent $1. $1 a week.
Thank you, Vicki. And you're right, they're just right there. Anybody else? If not, we're going to get out of here before 9 o'clock. Suzanne, could I ask one favor? I think that there will be some positions open on the board this year. Could you please let us know what positions those are and how to? Oh, look at us. This is great. We're keep moving forward. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. If there's nothing else, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Oh, wait. Al has one more thing.
I've got.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table to adjourn by Murph. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Jan seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Tanner, I have a bill here. If you'd sign, we'll give it to him when you get a minute. You want to look at my calendar?
I do.
My redneck calendar.
God, what a great guy.
Isn't he? Isn't he? Isn't this the greatest calendar ever? Well, Trump is not a Reagan, but thank God we have him.
Right.
No. Mm-mm. No. Nope. Nope. Vicki, share with me. I know. Well, we're going to figure out how to bring them up here. I know it. It's anytime you go uphill, it's too far.
I'll help you out here.
Thank you.